Hey there, Terry. It's Wayne D. Thanks for sending in your swing for a little analysis. So, in your email, you mentioned two things. One, your question was, are your hips turning too fast to start the backswing? And then the second one was about the transition and the drop move that seems to keep you from opening your hips fast enough. So, first thing, in the takeaway, you'll see that most good players will move everything simultaneously. You won't see a abrupt movement of the hips first, but you also won't see a hugely restricted hip turn in the backswing. It's difficult to get everything started because the upper trunk is so closely connected to the lower. As long as you don't start with your hips, I think it's okay. I mean, you can look at just about any good player, and it's indistinguishable what is actually starting first, although you know it's really not the hips first. So I would say you're okay in that sense. Now, what I would say about this is that in your takeaway, I see a lot of pronation of the left arm, meaning your left arm is rolling out out in front of you, and your shoulder turn gets a little bit flat early. So as you start back and get to P2, take a look at Cameron Champ. Watch his left arm here. So what you see here is you'll see a shoulder turn that's steeper. The left shoulder is going down and behind the ball more. It's not rolling out as much. So the club might come a fraction inside the hands and get a little more vertical here, but I think that might be a decent idea for you. Now the problem that I think is the biggest thing for you is that once you pronate the left arm, the right arm is supinating, meaning that your elbow is twisting inward, which would be fine if you kept it there. So if you look at Champ as he gets up to the top, let's go to a bigger swing. Oops, I always do that. So here you're going to see how the right arm is going to do what yours does. It's going to stay in front. So you can see the elbow is not winging behind, but as he gets to the top, it stays there, and then the key factor is the whole upper arm is going to move forward and down. So let's watch yours. You're gonna forward press this thing. If you look at from the front, you can see the forward press, and then the rotation. So one thing I would do is I would lessen that forward. Try another trigger. Try to use I don't know, right knee or something. But one thing I will say with the hips is that when they do move, you move them pretty much twisting them into the middle immediately. If we go back and look at what the Champ is doing, it's going to be a bump to the right. He's going to load. See that right there? So right here you can see he's moving a little bit to the right. You can also see the upper body load right. Now from there he can turn the right side of his pelvis toward the middle because he's still loaded against the right wall. So here you're off of it. So you've what I would call twisted a little bit too much. Now that's significant as you get to the top, because what we're going to see is when you arrive toward the top, your right side is going to continue to pull backwards, and then you're going to drop it behind you. Whereas what Champ is going to do from here is he's going to move everything forward, and we'll see that much better from down the line. So let's take a look. So there's a couple of angles that you can see it a little better. Here's a pretty good one here. All right, good. So let's go back to your down the line. And this holds true with the driver and the iron. So here's really the killer move for you right here. Your right arm is pretty in front of you. You're almost to the top. But now you're going to pull it, wing it back behind you more. Right there. And then to make matters worse for you as far as the ability to open your lower body back up. Now you will see some really good players with an equal amount of hip turn as you get here, but as you twist the right hip in, you have a tendency to move out into the left a little bit this way, and then the killer move coming down is when the grip, here's the grip, goes this way. Right, so as you pull your arms back behind you, this is not going to encourage any kind of rotation, because you can kind of see if this is moving back this way, the tendency is for the left side to stay in front of you. So now you're stuck. The club is coming down. You've done a good job sequencing the thing, but it's open and your legs won't clear. So the term for that right arm movement is adduction. So what you're doing is pure adduction is when you have your elbow out this way and you move it toward the middle of you. You can move that straight down. That would be pure adduction. You could move the arm sideways, which would be a side arm throwing motion. That would be horizontal adduction. And in your case, when you pull it backwards behind you, right, that would be beyond pure adduction. You want to go forward. So we're talking about combining the element of a horizontal adduction with a pure adduction, and we have to move it down and forward. So I think it's going to be really important if you can keep the left arm from rolling, keep the right arm a little more in front of you, and then in the forward swing. Now this is where players get mixed up and say, well, isn't that over the top? So if you watch Champ, it's like, isn't that coming over the top? Well, no, it's not, because what dictates what's over the top really is what the shaft is doing. So if we get the shaft to bend back and the hands to come forward, so we want the shoulder a little lower in this position. We want to keep the right arm more or less here, and then to start the downswing, we want to get the right side of the pelvis to twist so that it reverses direction. We're going to try to get that from going this way to going back the other way. And if you can get the handle to come more toward the ball instead of dropping backwards behind you, so a little shorter swing for you would probably be better, because that might help you eliminate that last little pullback right there. So this would be usable right here. So what you would like to do here is try to get your hands to come forward, and at the same time, if the club is loading back against the right index finger, it should go a bit sideways. So watch, here's Champ's club head, watch where it goes. It just goes over this way. So the hands go forward. Now you can see the whole upper body now is helping suggest to the lower body, you know, let's go this way. So you're using now, in effect, the muscles immediately. Once the right side of the pelvis twists, you can get the muscles on the inside of the leg and the left side of the pelvis to begin to twist with the right side. We want this knee back a little bit so it's under your hip a little more, it doesn't get stuck. And you're going to then be able to use the left side glute and the hamstring and the muscles behind your leg to pull that leg back behind you more. But I think the overall pattern here with the upper right side pulling back and down is what's restricting your lower body. So give that a try and see what's up. Your driver swing wouldn't be any different. It'll be trying to get a little less left arm roll, shorten it up, 3/4 it maybe, and then see if you can keep the right arm in front of you, and then again what we're looking at is combination adduction, where the whole upper arm moves forward and down instead of back behind you. All right?